Hello everyone, this is Kona, and thank you for tuning in to another TF2 commentary. Now I've been a bit nice to TF2 lately because they've done a lot for me in the past 8 years that I've been playing this game. But that doesn't mean that I love absolutely everything about this game. There's still a lot that needs to be worked on. So I think it's okay to be very vocal about this, to let them know what we're interested in, what we like, and what we don't like. And I think, Valve should get really worried if they screw up and we don't say anything, because that just means that we don't care. But I think the truth is that we actually do care. We're saying a lot of stuff about this. I think that's a good thing, just to let them know, hey, this is how we feel about this game, because we're very passionate about it. Now I do understand that making a game is very, very difficult. I didn't understand how difficult until I actually tried it for myself and tried to make a game for the HTC Vive VR. And oh boy, it was so tough. Even with all the resources out there to get me, help me get started, it took months just to get something working in a prototype phase. And so I really do understand that making games is a very difficult thing to do, and I appreciate Valve putting in the hard effort to do that. So with that said, I want to go over some of my suggestions to make TF2 better. I was thinking of making it like TF2 Reborn, kind of like how Dota was Dota 2 and then they relaunched it into Dota 2 Reborn. I was like, oh, you can do that with TF2. Let's call it TF2 Reborn and change some things about the game to get people really excited about it. So my first suggestion for TF2 Reborn is a focus on specific game modes and maps. I think they should focus maybe on 4 to 5 game modes and just stick to those and really concentrate and focus on trying to make great maps for them. Game modes like Payload, of course, you gotta include Payload there. I think it's the most popular game mode. Attack Defend, King of the Hill, and 5CP. Maybe Payload Race would be okay because it's a variant of Payload, I guess. But really no more than that. I know they've been experimenting with stuff like Manpower and Pastime and stuff, but I don't really find myself playing those because that's not really what I feel like the game is about. It doesn't feel like TF2 when you have all those crazy stuff. So stick to specific game modes. And what's nice is that you can actually make some variants on these game modes. Take Payload, for example. Payload, I think, is the most fun game mode in TF2. It's what TF2 is known for. It's known for that Payload game mode. But you can have fun variations like Frontier. That's an awesome variation for Payload. You can actually jump onto the train, onto the car. That's amazing. I know the new Frontline community project has a Payload cart that's a tank that shoots. I don't know if it shoots people, probably not, but still, it's a variant on Payload, and I feel like you can still make great maps without it being stale all the time by maybe doing slight variations of these main game modes that you're going to focus on. So my next suggestion for TF2 Reborn is a focus on new weapons and subclasses. Now I think the strength with TF2 lies in just the amount of combinations you can have with your loadout, with your weapons. You can mix and match stuff to play almost any style that you want. There's usually something that you can that classes have that you can enjoy using. And I know this can be a very tough thing to balance because adding new weapons to the game probably complicates things a lot, which is probably why we've been seeing like a lot of reskins and stuff like that. It's easier to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd like to see more weapons and more subclassing. Now, when I say subclassing, I think there are only maybe 4 subclasses in TF2 right now. You have the Demo Knight, the Huntsman Sniper, the Battle Engie, and the Dead Ringer Spy. And what's kind of cool about these subclasses is that all it takes is maybe 1 or 2 weapons, 1 or 2 items to create that subclass, to make that class very different to play from the original way it was, I guess, supposed to be played. If you look at something like the Soldier, even though the Soldier has a bunch of rocket launchers and a bunch of items, I feel like there's still not enough variation. I sort of still play the Soldier the same way, no matter what I do. Maybe it's a little bit different, but it's not as drastically different as something like Demo Man and Demo Knight. That's a huge difference. So I would like to see more subclasses in the future. So my next suggestion for TF2 Reborn is to replace casuals with quick play. I know this can be a bit of a touchy subject because, it's casuals, and I kind of agree. When casuals was first released, I thought it was a bust. It changed the feeling of pubs in TF2, and the thing is, I only play pubs, so it really just changed the way that I thought about TF2, and I played it. And this, pubs I feel is where most of your players are, so I feel like by changing the way that works. That was very, very drastic, and people didn't really take it very well. When they released a competitive mode for TF2, honestly, I didn't think they would touch pubs. I really didn't think that they would touch the way pubs worked. I thought they were going to just only do competitive, and we pub people would just be happy, you know, with the way that things were working. But you know, that wasn't the case. They fundamentally changed the way it worked, which I didn't really like. Now, the idea of quick play, I think, was really good. The quick play before this whole casual thing was introduced, because quick play got you into a match very quickly, which is something that casuals does not do. You know, in casuals, I can be waiting like 5 minutes for a match, but in quick play, you know, less than 30 seconds, I'm in. At least something so I can actually play. What I didn't like about the old quick play system was the interface. I think the interface was very bad, at least for the way that I wanted to get into games. It didn't give me enough options to choose what I actually wanted to do, and I had to actually, you know, remember clicking that arrow to cycle through all those game modes? I think that was a bad idea, because I think kind of like how casuals is set up, where almost all the game modes are visible. You need something like that. You need to give the player some sort of choice in what they want to play and have it easily accessible. And I love the fact that they have maps in casuals that you can actually choose. So if they combined maybe the interface of casuals, or maybe a slightly better interface from the casuals system that we have right now, with the quickness of quick play, I think that'll be great. Now, what they can also do in this new quick play thing is to promote community maps. I know the old quick play had like a beta section where you can try out different game modes, but you know, I think it'll be nice to have a community maps section for this quick play thing that focus on the game modes that I mentioned before. They can also add some things to get some player feedback for these maps. Maybe at the end of the round, or when the player leaves, you can put a little thing to ask them to rate the map, to maybe provide even a text box to give suggestions to make the map better, or just, you know, comments about it. That way, these map makers and Valve can get direct feedback from the players directly in the game, so that it's easy for the player to give feedback. You know, you're not asking the player to test these things outside the game or provide feedback on a different website. You can do it directly in the game, and I think that'll be kind of cool. Now, these next ones have to do with the TF2 economy, so I don't really know too much about this, but I feel like, you know, perhaps something could be done. The first is having a use for metal and duplicate weapons. Every time I get a duplicate weapon, I feel like there's nothing to do with it besides scrap it into metal, and use that metal to maybe get a hat or whatever, and it just kind of seems a little stale. I feel like there should be a way to use your duplicate weapons for something. I'm not really sure what. Now, recently I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Go. Probably you have too. And one thing I noticed is that I have to catch a lot of Pokemon to get enough candies to evolve my Pokemon or to power them up. So there is a use for actually, you know, catching more Pokemon. Same thing maybe could be, you know, something that we apply to TF2 like that, where there's a use or a more direct use for duplicate weapons, so that every time I get a duplicate weapon, I'm not like, oh, another duplicate weapon. Like, if I get a duplicate weapon, I'm like, maybe I can put that towards something. Maybe put it into an existing weapon so I can power up my one weapon that's really good or something. I don't know how. Maybe add some counter to it. I'm not really sure, but it would be nice to have a use for that. Okay, so this last one is for people who like to play dress up, and who doesn't like to play dress up in TF2? I think that's one of the strengths of TF2, is that you can mix and match your cosmetics to really express yourself in the game. Now, I would like to see something where I can dress up with all the stuff in TF2. This includes the weapons, the items, the cosmetic items, and even the particle effects and the skins, all that kind of stuff that's in TF2. I would like to be able to just try it out. Not go in game, of course, because going in game you have to own it. But I just want, like, in the dressing room, be able to put anything that I want on, create any sort of loadout, anything, and just try it on for fun. And even also have some way of telling me, like, how to get this stuff. If I have something that's I don't own that's on me in the dressing room, tell me how to get it. If it's in a crate, you know, tell me it's in a crate. If it's in a community marketplace, please give me a link to the community marketplace so I can go and buy it. Stuff like that. I think it'll be fantastic. And I know there's going to be a lot of people who will just spend all their time in that mode, in the dressing room mode. That would be like its own game mode, right? Because it can be just so much fun and so addicting to dress up your character. So those are some of my suggestions for TF2 Reborn, if it's ever gonna happen. I really hope it happens, because you know, like I said before, deep down I think we care about the game. You know, we talk about the game, we care about it. We want to see it do well. We want to help it get better, and so that's why we do this kind of stuff, even though it can be a little harsh at times. So my question for you is, what would you like to see in TF2 Reborn? What are some of your suggestions? I think these are really important to sort of get out there, because especially in today's day and age where customers are getting more vocal about it and developers are, you know, paying attention, it's really important to let them know what we like and what we don't like. So let me know in the comments below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.